This is the moment every fan waits for. The countdown's over. The road to kickoff has begun.
Play is here to stay.
I'm not going to name names, Kevin.
From win totals to player props, from division races to MVP debates, we've got eyes on every camp and data feeding 24/7, breaking down every angle across the league. Every pick, every edge, every line that matters. SportsGrid. Your road to kickoff starts now.
Answer is this. 12-team, 3 wide receiver, you take Jamar Chase. In a 10-team league, though, where you have only 2 wide receivers to start, it's an interesting supply and demand situation with a roster like that. That is where the Bijan number 1 overall maybe comes into play, because you could take Bijan and then turn around. You're still getting 2 number 1 wide receivers in a 10-team league draft.
Fantasy sports today. Only on SportsGrid.
In extras, knocked out the Reds 6-5. This team doesn't lose. And the only thing I want to say, Tom, is I just hope they can continue this. Now, what does that mean? 40 games in a row? Of course we know it's not going to be the case. They are peaking right now. We've seen so many times. Baseball's a long season. Boy, if the Brewers were playing this baseball on September the 28th, watch out. But they are sensational right now.
Pro baseball today. Only on SportsGrid.
Don't you feel refreshed? Don't you feel good? You know, grab a beer tonight, grab some champagne, grab an energy drink, sit back and relax, because you made it, people. You really did. You know, sometimes we get to summer months, you like to relax. Some people get some time off, but other people still have to work hard all through that summer. The only light, Joe Ranieri, at the end of that tunnel is football season. You will go to sleep tonight. You will wake up tomorrow with games that matter, and they will matter all the way through to Super Bowl Sunday in February. That's what, 7 months, 8 months at this point right now that you are just going to fill your life with football? Feels so good, Joe. It really does.
Just count the day. But there will not be a weekend without football from this point forward here, folks. And that is a beautiful thing. Gotta love this time of year. And I'm excited because I think the week 0 games, I think there are some edges. I think there's some money to be made. And, we still got a couple of NFL preseason games as well.
Bang it out, people. You know what we like to do also? Get you caught up on the hottest topics across the sports landscapes, the 7 in 7, which we saw 2 football games last night. A couple starters played there for the Steelers. One got injured that you didn't want to have happen. You saw quarterbacks absolutely balling out for the New York Giants. Both the Steelers and the Giants pick up victories to end their preseason. 2-1 for the Steelers, Joe. 3-0 for the New York Giants.
Giants defensively worth keeping an eye on as the season plays out. And yes, the schedule is tough, but I still believe the Giants are a team that are going to make us some money this year. I think they're going to keep teams a lot closer than the market is going to adjust to early on. I think Russ is going to be better than people think because his replacement is right behind him and he knows it. I wouldn't be shocked if the Giants this season here not only go over their win total, but maybe a little bit better than Dallas and Washington. You heard it here first.
Wow. Good. They get the 4 wins, Joe. I'm cashing tickets. Like the Giants get the 4 wins, I'll throw the ticker tape parade for Russ and the boys up there, and we'll have a great time. We'll eat some pizza, we'll drink some beer, and we'll have some fun at that point. Let's see what happens with the Baltimore Ravens. In many places, Joe, city, high school, grade school, you get a new pair of shoes and somebody steps on them, you might be in for a toe-to-toe, blow-to-blow, if you know what I mean at that point. But then the Baltimore Ravens superstar quarterback gets his foot stepped on in practice. You can't do that. And if that X-ray came up as a positive instead of a negative, we'd have had some interesting conversations today to talk about for the Baltimore Ravens. But if you're looking there, John Harbaugh says prayers do get answered. Nothing wrong with Lamar Jackson. Whoo! Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, well, thank goodness here, but I would anticipate he's not even allowed anywhere near the field for this preseason game coming up, this final one. Bubble wrap him, store him away, let him go, let him be as far away from the complex as possible. Got to get him ready for week 1 of the NFL season in a few, 2 weeks now, Donnie? Two Sundays from now?
Like 2 weeks there. You know what's going to take place on that Thursday night? The Philadelphia Eagles and the Dallas Cowboys. It's going to be Jalen Hurts trying to avoid maybe not trying to avoid Micah Parsons, as they can't get together on a deal. I love this, too, because Jerry goes, we worked out the length, the guarantees, and the contract itself. That was months ago. He's still not signed, and everybody is angry at each other. And Micah Parsons now putting out cryptic tweets on social media where he's not happy. And then Jerry Jones counters it and goes, I still got him under contract, Joe, for 3 years, so deal with that. Oh, this is great. What a soap opera.
Again, with Jerry, it's all about leverage, right? He's quoting the art of the deal. He's dropping all of these quotes this week. He's saying, of course, that, listen, we sent over an offer and the agent, sent it back and told us to stick it to, where. So, the bottom line is, you don't play while you're under contract. It's coming out of your pocket. So they still have the ability to franchise tag him for a couple of years as well. So just figure it out. All this posturing doesn't make any sense. You don't have any leverage, Micah.
Remember Donna and Evita, don't cry for me, Argentina. Yep. Don't cry for Micah Parsons. Dude's going to make $20 million this year. He's eventually going to make $200 million guaranteed. He will be fine, but it's fun to watch this play out specifically because it's the Dallas Cowboys. How about the Red Sox and the Yankees? Look, the Eagles hate each other or hate the Cowboys. The Cowboys hate the Eagles. Same thing in baseball. Red Sox, Yankees. Yesterday, the Sox get game 1 of a 4-game set, 6-3, Joe.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. The bullpen once again lets the Yankees down. Weaver, no good. Duvall is an absolute mess. I wish I hope you kept the receipt, Yankees, so you can send him back to the Giants there. Just not a good showing at all, but a really good starting pitching battle last night with Giolito and Louis Heel. But unfortunately, the Boston bullpen outperformed the Yankees.
0 to 80, Joe. Usually you're talking about a car, right? Ooh, how fast is that? How about 0 to 80 in 5 months? Does that seem slow? No, it isn't. That's the fastest in Major League Baseball. That's the Milwaukee Brewers' 80th win on the season, knocking off the Cubs 4-1 yesterday. They needed that win, and they got it.
Yeah, they did. And Quinn Priester, another win by the Brewers, who just for some reason, they show up and they show out. I mean, when he pitches, he keeps them in games. He wasn't great, but he was certainly good enough to go up against Imanaga and get the win.
You ever get angry, Joe, in like a parking lot? Like, oh, I was going to take that spot. He took it from me. All right, I'll move on and find another spot. Or every once in a while you come in like, come on, man. Somebody hit my car with a cart. Somebody scraped my door. Nowhere to be left or found. You try to keep your cool because you realize what really matters in life. Other people go, you know what? Let me get that stabbing at this point. And that's what happened yesterday. Jaylen Brown's dad arrested in Vegas for stabbing Joe Ranieri. Come on.
He pulls into a parking spot, somebody gets out of the passenger side and smashes a dude's car, opening the door. The guy gets out, and then you get in his face. Like, just write the guy a check and be like, hey, I'm sorry, man. Here you go. Here's a check. Go get the door fixed. I'm good to go. You move on with your day. Unreal.
And also, you probably don't have a lot of problems. Your son is making about a $300 million contract on top of already what he made in the NBA. Like, you're probably financially set where even if you drive down the road and somebody plows into you and wrecks your car, it's like, hey, man, son's going to buy me a new one. You all right over there? All right, let's get them moving. But the fact that you get angry at a parking spot situation, that's always a tough one there. Certainly. We'll see what plays out, but the man's going to do some jail time, and it is what it is. Tour championship. Henley leads after round number 1. There is a lot of dollars at stake in this one, Joe.
Huge. This is for all the marbles and a tremendous round. 61 to open up the Tour Championship for Henley. Over 25 yards of putts the guy made. 20 feet of putts he made. Like, he was hitting putts from everywhere. The chance of him doing that again? I don't know. Not with Scotty Scheffler, only a couple of strokes behind. We all know who's winning this tournament, don't we?
The shark's in the water. You know who that shark is. It ain't Henley. You know what I mean? Maybe it's Don Henley, not Russell Henley at this point right now. Let's take a look at, by the way, I like this. I didn't see this, but this is a topic, Joe. What a name. Let me read this to you. The Red Sox call up a prospect called the Password. So I was like, what does that even mean? I don't know how to say his name. Yost Nixon Garcia. His first name is spelled Jhostynxon, as I'm seeing it here. That does sound like, hey, here's a random password that you use that nobody's going to get. That is a fantastic nickname for a player. I love it.
Can I buy a vowel, Donnie? I'd like to buy an E because I have no idea what it is. Like, if you threw that up there on Wheel, like, I have no idea. Like, what word is, like, what? How do you even pronounce that? Unbelievable.
I'm going to say the J is probably silent. So, Host Nixon? Like Jackson Smith and Jigba? Sort of like, has a little, like, password in there to that? But my goodness, man. That's saying that guy, the Password Garcia is coming back to town. Also, other news out there, the Bulls going to retire Derrick Rose's jersey on 1/24/2026. He goes up in the rafters with Michael Jordan.
Well deserved. Too bad he had, Thibs as a head coach, and he absolutely ruined his career by blowing out both his knees. But hey, definitely belongs there.
There you go. Derrick Rose went to where? Memphis, gets to the NBA, MVP. It's a shame he got injured the one year they probably were going to win the championship. It is what it is. But you know what else is next? Coach Terry Bowden joins us from the Bowden Blitz with Joe Lisi. Let's go college football.
Vegas knows how to celebrate. If you're headed to Vegas for your birthday, plan ahead to get all the birthday freebies the city has to offer. Just by showing your ID, you could get free cash play, scratch cards, drinks, and food at various venues on the Strip. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
It should be illegal for Scotty Scheffler to play on the PGA Tour. This guy can't be stopped. Another victory at the BMW Championship. He has a chip on the 17th, which will go down in the history books. 82 feet, landed 60 feet short, and then rolled the rest of the way. Super exciting win again for Scheffler, who is not only the best golfer in the world, he's becoming one of the best golfers of all time.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
Passing offense is him, Devonta Smith, Dallas Goedert. They have Jahan Dotson. They just recently traded for John Mechie from the Houston Texans. Now, obviously, yes, Saquon is there, but a lot of people are expecting the Eagles to have an increase in their passing rate this year. They won't rely as heavily on Saquon, and it should just mean more volume overall. Obviously, Brown was fantastic, and he did so in not playing a full season last year.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
The Giants are probably going to open up 1-5 on the season. So then you start to say the fans are getting angry. They just want to see Dart. The ownership's like, hey, you know what? Maybe we make the right move with Russ here. But then you have self-preservation mode with the general manager and the head coach where it almost seems like it's inevitable. Midway through the season, it's going to have to be Jackson Dart. Otherwise, what are we doing, Giants?
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
Time to get excited, people. Why? Because week 0 of the college football season is here. One more sleep till college football is on your TV, and it counts. I'm Donnie Rightside. He's Joe Ranieri, and a special guest we have on the early line. It's Coach Terry Bowden, and you've seen him a lot on the SportsGrid Network already with Joe Lisi on the Bowden Blitz. Coach, we are so excited to have you and so excited for this college football season.
I am too. I get excited every August. That same thing happens. I'm not coaching anymore, but watching these games and predicting finishes, it keeps me close, and I'm excited. Got one good game coming up this weekend too.
Oh, I can't wait for it as well, Coach. Let's get into the mind of a guy who's done it all here. 1993, if you guys don't know, come on now. Coach Bowden won every single award you could possibly win on an undefeated Auburn team as the head coach. So now we take a look at the top of the standings, right? Or at least what we think the AP top 25 coming out is. Texas, Penn State, Ohio State, Clemson, and UGA. Talk about, Coach, those teams ranked in the top 10 and the expectations from a head coach that has to relay, hey, guys, we haven't played a game yet. This is just on paper.
No, the thing is take your games one at a time and make sure you understand how important the first game is and then the next game is. Remember, unlike the old days, or even when you had 4 teams in the playoffs, and back when I coached just 2, you can lose a ball game and still get to the playoffs. So try to take them one game at a time, treat each one critical. Don't get caught up in all that hype about who's going to be there in the end, even though you and I know we like to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it doesn't get any better when we go across the pond with a Big 12 battle, right? You're going to have K-State, Iowa State, both teams returning 12, 13 starters from a year ago, both quarterbacks back, but the wide receiving room on both teams, Coach, this is all new. So are we expecting maybe offense ahead of the defense ahead of the offense? What are we going to get here?
No, I think that's why I've kind of gone with the under. I think it's the defense ahead of the offense. Iowa State especially, if they've lost 2 wide receivers that went into the NFL, I think you'll see the head coach going back. And I coached against him when he was at Toledo. I think you'll see them going back to that 2 and sometimes 3 tight end offense and coming out a little bit slower, less big plays out of Iowa State. And also, it's unfamiliar territory. They're in Ireland. I think they come out slow and kind of feel their way through. So I think it's a defensive game to start with. It eases up and gets better towards the end. But overall, I think Kansas State has the better quarterback and the better chance to win the game.
We're talking to Terry Bowden right here on the early line, having some fun with Week 0 action. I'd love to get inside the mind of a coach, and I want to ask you this. Like Kansas State, Matt Wells is going to be the new offensive coordinator, at least having new wrinkles in the offense. We don't see any preseason games. Like, you only know what you have on tape at this point. As a coach, how would you prepare for an offense that you know loves to run the football, but, hey, we might get a little bit more passing out of these guys?
You got to really be careful. The first game, it's a hard game to bet on. It's a hard game to coach against because you don't know what's out there and what's coming. First of all, you've got the portal transfer. You've got different players, and so you're not sure who's going to be the guy they go to. New coordinators, new coaches, are they going to have a different style? And then quite often, if I was playing somebody that I knew I could win the first game, I may do something entirely different so I could win that second game. So there are a lot of factors going on here. But this one really is for kind of the Big 10, Big 12 championship type teams. These 2 teams, this is Farmageddon. This is a huge game that is for a lot of stakes. And so it's a big one. They'll have their best stuff. And you can't really hold back anything because you really need standpoint for your program, for the conference, for who your fans want to beat. This one's a big one for all those reasons.
And it's interesting, Cole. Big picture wise, because I don't know how to gauge this in this new era of NIL and college football. But when I see 4 of the 5 starting offensive linemen from a year ago for Iowa State, who could have gotten more money, NIL money at other schools, stay and play for Matt Campbell. How do we gauge that kind of loyalty in this day and age of NIL?
I still think the sum is bigger than the parts. I still think of programs where you've got great loyalty, where the coach gets players to stay there and not move somewhere else. The team can only be better because of it. Football is one of the unusual sports where you win with 11, not just 1, not just 2, but it takes on 11. And when you mention the offensive line, that's even bigger. I don't think of it as 5 pennies. I think of it as a nickel. They go together. They're attached at the hip. They depend on each other. When you can keep them all there and you can keep them all together, that's going to make you a better football team.
Coach, let's take a look at some big picture topics here in this college football season. When you were coaching, like even in the 80s and 90s, you lose early in the season, you just got to rally the troops saying, hey, guys, we might be able to get back in the championship picture, but you lose early now, you still got light at the end of the tunnel. If we look at Texas, Georgia, Ohio State, and Penn State, like talk to me about, hey, guys, we can actually lose a game and still rally the season.
Well, I think I know from a coaching standpoint, it takes pressure off. Because if your fans expect you to play for a championship or in the national championship, you lose a game like a big game like this, or maybe a Clemson, LSU, or those type of teams playing early, Ohio State, Texas. Man, we're knocked out of the championship game. Now you're not, because if you make the playoffs, you may not have injuries. Other teams do. You may be so deep in a roster that you're made for the playoffs. So the key right now is don't get your heads down if you lose an early game, because all is not lost. Just like Kansas State and Iowa State, all is not lost in this head-to-head competition, although it is a conference matchup. I think that's the biggest thing you got to do is make your players play like it's the biggest game in the world, but no matter what happens, have a plan for if it doesn't come out where you win the game.
What's more important, Coach? Texas, Ohio State, LSU, Clemson.
Well, I think around the country, everybody's looking at Texas, Ohio State just a little bit more. But when I look at my Heisman candidates and I look at the team that I think probably is kind of that sleeper maybe to play for a championship, I look at Clemson. They are loaded. This looks like Dabo's old teams. I was there as an analyst in 19 and 2020. We lost LSU the second year that we were there for the championship. But he has a team very much like those teams, and I think it's a big game. Clemson's about to show people that why they may have the Heisman Trophy winner on their team.
What a fantastic season it sets up in the SportsGrid Network. We got Coach Bowden all season long in the Bowden Blitz, and also on College Football Today with Joe Lisi and myself, Donnie Rightside. Coach, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We are just as excited as you are to kick off this college football season. The coach will be around. We'll also stick around on the early line. Myself and Joe Ranieri, we got more hot topics next, so make sure you stay tuned.
Vegas knows how to celebrate. If you're headed to Vegas for your birthday, plan ahead to get all the birthday freebies the city has to offer. Just by showing your ID, you could get free cash play, scratch cards, drinks, and food at various venues on the Strip. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
It should be illegal for Scotty Scheffler to play on the PGA Tour. This guy can't be stopped. Another victory at the BMW Championship. He has a chip on the 17th, which will go down in the history books. 82 feet, landed 60 feet short, and then rolled the rest of the way. Super exciting win again for Scheffler, who is not only the best golfer in the world, he's becoming one of the best golfers of all time.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
Passing offense is him, Devonta Smith, Dallas Goedert. They have Jahan Dotson. They just recently traded for John Mechie from the Houston Texans. And obviously, yes, Saquon is there, but a lot of people are expecting the Eagles to have an increase in their passing rate this year. They won't rely as heavily on Saquon, and it should just mean more volume overall. Obviously, Brown was fantastic, and he did so in not playing a full season last year.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
The Giants are probably going to open up 1-5 on the season. So then you start to say the fans are getting angry. They just want to see Dart. The ownership's like, hey, you know what? Maybe we make the right move with Russ here. But then you have self-preservation mode with the general manager and the head coach, where it almost seems like it's inevitable. Midway through the season, it's going to have to be Jackson Dart. Otherwise, what are we doing, Giants?
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
Football Friday, SportsGrid Network. Oh, it just sounds so good over the next couple of months. That's exactly what every single Friday is going to be. Have to love that. Now, we don't necessarily love the preseason in the NFL, but it still is football. And yes, we just told you, and Coach Bowden was on with us, the excitement level for tomorrow is high for week 0, but we still have to complete week 3 of the preseason. And now you're taking a look at, hey, what happened to every game that we expected to get all these points in? And these big steam numbers, you're now getting down to the nitty-gritty, which means we don't know who's playing. We don't think these teams care. And here's what the lines are going to be. Case in point, the Philadelphia Eagles taking on the New York Jets. Quick little run up the turnpike here in Jersey. And we find ourselves with a 1.5 point favorite on the Jets. And a total, Joe, that actually opened and listed at 38.5. has dropped down to 32.5, a touchdown difference there. Because why? Expectations are no starters are going to play in this game, particularly the better quarterbacks, and not even a guy like Tanner McKee, I believe, Joe, is supposed to play for the Philadelphia Eagles. So maybe Kyle McCord, Adrian Martinez, whoever is on the Jets roster, this is a coin flip, to say the least.
Yeah, I mean, let's be realistic here. I think we all know the Jets had a private team meeting, no coaches, after they got absolutely boat raced by the Giants last week in preseason game number 2, and now none of the starters are playing here tonight. But Devonta Smith dealing with a groin injury, Dallas Goedert, Malaya, Tanner McGee, all inactive for this one. So got maybe a little bit of injury concerns coming out of the preseason once it's all said and done for Philadelphia. It's worth keeping an eye on.
It is worth keeping an eye on. Just people are just looking to get to the end. And, even like the second half, like yesterday, yes, the New York Giants turned it on going up against the New England Patriots. And the Patriots were clear, like, we're not playing our starters. We don't care about this game. And you saw that final score. I got to, like, if you're a betting man, which we all are, Joe, we try to handicap. And in the preseason, sometimes you have to just take it out of the X's and O's. The second half of these games, we're not getting elaborate schemes. Like, we're playing the guys that won't make the football team. So if they get injured, it's not a big deal. But also at the same time is, you're going to be looking, the coach is going to be like this, Joe. Okay, all right, 15 minutes, 10 minutes, 5 minutes. This game over yet? Like, that's the way I feel. And that's why I think that line, 38-32, is like the second half, we'd be lucky to get a touchdown between the teams in the second half of these games.
It's not going to be pretty, Donnie. But again, you've got the Eagles have been there and done this before. The Jets, if you're holding a private team meeting after that embarrassment a week ago, so whether the starters play or don't play, I think you're going to get a big effort early from the guys on the field wearing Jets uniforms in this one.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Atlanta and Dallas going to tee it up here. This game also opened up as a 3-point favorite. I don't know, home field advantage for the Cowboys. Now we're seeing 2.5s across the board in the total that opened up at 36.5, now down to 35.5. I don't know if we're seeing Dak Prescott or Michael Penix in this game. It looks like a true coin flip. The dangers of week number 3, Joe, in the preseason.
Well, we know no Penix Jr., no Kirk Cousins. We already heard, Coach Reem Morris tell us they won't sniff. They signed Ben DiNucci. Okay, whoa, yeah, so Easton Stick and Ben DiNucci will be throwing the ball around here for Atlanta. It's hysterical that they have Micah Parsons listed as possibly questionable for this game. He ain't going anywhere near the field in this one. This is another one that, what are you going to get here? Are we getting a ton of points? I doubt it very much here.
2 final games on the card tonight, Minnesota and Tennessee, and Chicago and Kansas City. Those 2 games also, Joe, 1.5s to 3.5s, 3s back down to 1. Here's the interesting one in that second game. Chicago and Kansas City are expected to play their starters somewhat in this game. Mahomes is going to go, maybe like a Joe Flacco, I'm going to make a cameo appearance. And the same thing there with Caleb Williams. That's an interesting one to watch, where that line, Joe, 38.5, went up to 42.5.
Yeah, so look, interesting. Maybe a first quarter bet here tonight, Donnie. Who do you think is going to win out? Mahomes and the starters, or Caleb Williams and the starters here? I think that's going to be very interesting. Ultimately, when it's all said and done, Arrowhead, I believe the effort will be there by the Chiefs in the second half.
You might have to pry into this game a little bit, because if Caleb Williams plays, 2 series and Mahomes plays 1, are they going to let Bajent let it rip? Like, the dude looks really good again in the preseason, just signed this contract. But then again, it's like, why are you putting your backup quarterback out there to spin when you might need your backup quarterback not to get a concussion or injured in a preseason game. That's why these numbers are so odd, but you will get some starters in the first part of that game between the Chicago Bears and the Kansas City Chiefs. In the next segment, we're going to go over some games that are going to take place on Saturday, and once that happens, it's time for cuts in the NFL. By the way, usually there are some big names that appear on those cut lists here, or some trades that go down before that cut list comes out. Exciting weekend in the National Football League, not for the games on the field, but the anticipation of week number 1. Let's talk about those games next.
Vegas knows how to celebrate. If you're headed to Vegas for your birthday, plan ahead to get all the birthday freebies the city has to offer. Just by showing your ID, you could get free cash play, scratch cards, drinks, and food at various venues on the Strip. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
It should be illegal for Scotty Scheffler to play on the PGA Tour. This guy can't be stopped. Another victory at the BMW Championship. He has a chip on the 17th, which will go down in the history books. 82 feet, landed 60 feet short, and then rolled the rest of the way. Super exciting win again for Scheffler, who is not only the best golfer in the world, he's becoming one of the best golfers of all time.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
Passing offense is him, Devonta Smith, Dallas Goedert. They have Jahan Dotson. They just recently traded for John Mechie from the Houston Texans. And obviously, yes, Saquon is there, but a lot of people are expecting the Eagles to have an increase in their passing rate this year. They won't rely as heavily on Saquon, and it should just mean more volume overall. Obviously, Brown was fantastic, and he did so in not playing a full season last year.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
The Giants are probably going to open up 1-5 on the season. So then you start to say the fans are getting angry. They just want to see Dart. The ownership's like, hey, you know what? Maybe we make the right move with Russ here. But then you have self-preservation mode with the general manager and the head coach, where it almost seems like it's inevitable. Midway through the season, it's going to have to be Jackson Dart. Otherwise, what are we doing, Giants?
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
What a glorious Friday, because it is a football Friday, but what a glorious Saturday. Like week 0 in college football, we got a nice little slate of appetizers, games that are meaningful, which means a top 25 game right off of the docket. But how about the NFL saying, yeah, we'll give you 4 on a Friday night, but we're also going to give you games all Saturday long, starting at 12 o'clock and ending at 10 p.m. So if you want your football filled just to try to get that last bit of information squeezed out of the orange, you can do that tomorrow in the NFL. Maybe you're getting ready for your fantasy draft or just trying to put some notes together on some rookies that you might want to take a look at a little bit later in the season for some of these football teams. But it does kick off tomorrow, Baltimore and Washington, the Battle of the Beltway. Favorite in this game? Once again, -1.5, -2.5, 35.5. That's the odds makers telling you, Joe. We know people want to bet. We don't know where it's going. We're going to basically make it a coin flip. Hope half the people win, half the people lose. We'll take that juice, and away we go.
Yeah, but again, it's one of these things where, all right, we heard that Lamar got stepped on, so he won't be anywhere near it. But let's be realistic here. It's still Harbaugh playing in the preseason. He's 41-20-2 against the number lifetime in these meaningless games here. That's almost 68%, Donnie. I mean, if it ain't broke, why are we trying to fix it in this one?
Yeah, no doubt about it. And if it's broke, why are we trying to fix this? The Indianapolis Colts seems like they're broken. They start at 1 o'clock tomorrow. That's line again, Joe. Correct me if I'm wrong. You'll hear this a lot. -2.5 across the board, 35.5. The coin flip is up here. Oh, we're not going to you're telling me we're not getting a battle from the Colts? They go, we got to see one more time for Daniel Jones and Anthony Richardson to try to win this starting job here. Oh, that's right. Daniel Jones is the starting quarterback. So does that mean we're not playing Anthony Richardson in this game and the Cincinnati Bengals have so much fun playing their starters? Are we getting Joe Burrow? out there in the first quarter with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins? We can't be that crazy, can we? The line certainly doesn't suggest it.
Well, no, I don't think we are, especially after we learned, of course, one of his regular guards there is out for the season. Yeah. We talked about that yesterday, the injury. So, you're a little thin on the offensive line. I am not putting Joe Burrow out there in any way, shape, or form. But I do think the Colts are interesting because Richardson's agent, the big conversation is, well, he might have played his last snap for the Colts. So it's a very strange situation there with the Colts right now.
By the way, now, honestly, there's no trade market for this guy, right? Like, you're better off just keeping him. And if it does turn out well, and he's only 23, you have him for a couple more years under contract, what's the point of trading him for a conditional 7th-round pick to another franchise? Like, you've already paid most of the signing bonus there for his, it's kind of counting against the cap. He's relatively a cheap player for the next year or two. Would you look at moving him? Because it doesn't serve you any purpose to do that, does it, for the Colts?
No, listen, he's on a rookie pay scale, right? So there's going to be an opportunity for him to play this year. Let's be realistic here. At some point, he'll have to probably step in. I still think they're going to utilize him in some packages offensively. I don't think he's disappearing, but maybe the best thing at 23 years old with only a couple of, a handful of seasons at quarterback on any level, maybe the best thing to do is kind of take a seat and kind of soak it all in and grow up a little bit, which is the big complaint for him.
We'll find out here. Denver and New Orleans, a 3-point line, 3.5, depending on where you're shopping at. 37.5, the opening number, up to 39.5. Last look here, maybe a Tyler Shuck, but it looks like Spencer Rattler's closing in on this starting job for week number 1. You didn't have any anticipation of that in New Orleans, did you? But they'll play this game, and any looks there for you, Joe, between Denver and New Orleans?
Well, it's a quarterback battle still for the Saints, and they have absolutely said that. They have said that, listen, it's still going to come down to, we're not making a decision here until after the third preseason game. So I think we're going to get a big effort here for New Orleans with this quarterback battle as these guys try to solidify themselves as the starter. So, yeah, I would lean them in this spot for sure.
All right, now we got juice in this next game. It's the Rams and it's the Cleveland Browns. Look at this line. Open up 2.5, Joe. Now we're seeing 7.5s and 8.5s in the marketplace. A total of 36.5. That hasn't changed. The one thing we know about the Rams and Sean McVay, he's probably not playing anybody. But then again, Matthew Stafford, certainly he's not going to play. The Stetson Bennett get to throw 50 times in this game. Any backup quarterbacks? But it's apparent Cleveland, who's going to start Joe Flacco, and then get one last look at Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders. They might be game planning for this game. Could this be the runaway freight train similar to what we saw with the New York Giants and the New England Patriots last night?
Well, it could very well be. But the good news also is that, Stafford's practiced. And boy, oh boy, McVay sounds really excited about what he looked out there and how he looked. So maybe that's a step in the right direction for the Rams. Having said that, he won't sniff the field. My question is, if Flacco plays a series or two, that means you're going to get Dylan Gabriel probably for the rest of the first half, and then Shedeur Sanders for the entire second half. So, yeah, I might have to look at Cleveland actually winning a preseason game here, because I think he's going to show up and show out against the backups.
And again, it was the same. You try to find the underlying statistics and values in preseason. It's very hard to do. And you're really just taking educated guesses based on like a gut reaction to what you think is going to take place. But the gut was right last night, Joe, saying, I think we're going to get some pretty good quarterback play out of the Giants. They threw 5 touchdown passes. I said, oh, you know what? Maybe take him at 2, which is like a plus 140, plus 150 number. That was perfect. You know what? I might look at that same angle today for that Cleveland game to say, if I'm going to get production out of the quarterbacks where they're going to play and meaningful football, why can't they throw 2 touchdowns doing 4 quarters? And again, Joe, it doesn't matter. Like, oh, man, I had Flacco to throw one and Shedeur. It's the whole team. It could be a backup punter throw a touchdown pass. You still get credit for it. That might be an angle to play on Saturday. Houston and Detroit, Joe, coin flips here, minus 1.5, 34.5. Not much out of this one. We'll speed through a couple of these. Seattle and Green Bay, you saw them fist fighting out there. Yeah. Green Bay is a 3-point favorite in that one. I don't have too much out of those games here. Any thoughts, though, Houston and Detroit, maybe Seattle and Green Bay?
Well, I mean, listen, we know Jordan Love limited, but he did have the surgery on the non-throwing thumb. That all appears to be well, so they are on target. to start the season, which is good news. Listen, we saw Seattle run all over guys in the preseason. Does that continue here against Green Bay? Could be a sneaky under in this one.
Other games out here, Joe, and again, there's only one real game I could say where you probably have a decided advantage, and the odds always are going to move in that direction. That's the game we talked about with the Rams and the Cleveland Browns, where it's clear that one team's going to play starters, at least their quarterbacks, and try to get something out of it where everybody else isn't. Like Jacksonville, Miami, this number, Joe, -2.5 for Jacksonville, now -6.5 at a lot of outlets here for the Miami Dolphins. So that means that Jacksonville has really thrown the white flag up. But are we getting it? Because that's your neck of the woods. Like, what are we getting from Miami this weekend to have that big line surge?
Well, what we're getting is the starters playing. I mean, McDaniels has already said that he plans on playing the starters here early. So maybe the ones are going to get a look early, maybe first quarter kind of situation. Meantime, Jacksonville has said no starters are playing. And, of course, Travis Hunter still with the upper body injury. Hopefully he'll be ready to go to start the season, but no starters for Jacksonville.
Buffalo, Tampa, Los Angeles Chargers, 49ers, Vegas Raiders, and Arizona. And that's the last game of the preseason here, Vegas and Arizona. There's nothing set up there, obviously, on Sunday. That's when the teams. By the way, the cut line, Joe, I assume, is that Sunday? Because nobody plays? Probably Sunday afternoon, I would assume, because then that league starts that next Monday. You'll see a lot of teams and I shouldn't say a lot. It's a lot of fun for us to watch, but not a lot of fun for people getting cut and losing their jobs. But that'll end the preseason out. By the way, it feels like the preseason went pretty quick. Like we were waiting for that Hall of Fame game. It got here, and boy, it went by pretty quickly. Like this is the last weekend to do it, and away we go into the regular season.
Well, and keep in mind, too, it's interesting with that Buffalo game. Josh Allen's not playing. He will have sat the entire preseason without taking a snap, Donnie. Interesting. And I think they're the Hard Knocks team, are they not?
Hard Knocks. Yeah, by the way, people, not a lot of hype on that Hard Knocks, man. Like I'm hearing a lot of good things and watching a lot of good things on that Dallas Cowboys documentary on Netflix. But Hard Knocks, by the way, is it time to put a wrap on Hard Knocks? Like it's outlived its usefulness?
Well, they'll squeeze every ounce of whatever is left out of it. I can assure you of that.
And that's what we do on the SportsGrid Network. Let's keep squeezing people. Major League Baseball next.
This is the moment every fan waits for. The countdown's over. The road to kickoff has begun.
Play is here to stay.
I'm not going to name names, Kevin.
From win totals to player props, from division races to MVP debates, we've got eyes on every camp and data feeding 24/7, breaking down every angle across the league. Every pick, every edge, every line that matters. SportsGrid. Your road to kickoff starts now.
Answer is this. 12-team, 3-wide receiver, you take Jamar Chase. In a 10-team league, though, where you have only 2 wide receivers to start, it's an interesting supply and demand situation with a roster like that. That is where the Bijan #1 overall maybe comes into play, because you could take Bijan and then turn around. You're still getting 2 #1 wide receivers in a 10-team league draft.
Fantasy sports today. Only on SportsGrid.
In extras, knocked out the Reds 6-5. This team doesn't lose. And the only thing I want to say, Tom, is I just hope they can continue this. Now, what does that mean? 40 games in a row? Of course we know it's not going to be the case. They are peaking right now. We've seen so many times. Baseball's a long season. Boy, if the Brewers are playing this baseball on September the 28th, watch out. But they are sensational right now.
Pro baseball today. Only on SportsGrid.
Let's get to the business here. In Major League Baseball, it's Joe Ranieri, it's Donnie Rightside, it's the early line. We have 2 hours. We cover it all. We go coast to coast with it. We have fun. We dish. We bust chops over here. We have great coaches on. We have great guests on, Joe. The vibes are high here. Maybe none higher in Philadelphia because the Phillies playing great baseball, sweeping out those Mariners out of Philadelphia. The Phillies stay at home. They're going to take on the Washington Nationals, who did them a favor by pummeling the New York Mets over the past 2 nights. Cavalli's going to be on the mound. He's an interesting pitcher, Joe. High draft pick, Tommy John surgery, making his way back into Major League Baseball. He's got some electric stuff. And the guy that I've lost more money on over the past month than anybody else has been Taijuan Walker. And not because I'm betting the Phillies and he's losing. I'm betting against the Phillies in situations where I think Taijuan Walker gets hit and he doesn't get hit anymore. He's turned back into the pitcher the Phillies always wanted Taijuan Walker to be. They're a heavy favorite today at a minus 185, minus 190 price across the sports landscape here. And a total that's listed at 9.5. Runs are expected, but Taijuan's been good. Cavalli's a power pitcher. What gives for you today, Joe? I think the Phillies win, but I don't know if we get 10 runs. I don't.
Well, the thing with the Nats rookie here, Cavalli, is that he just pitched against the Phillies last Saturday, I believe, in D.C., and he shut him down pretty good here. But you and I both know what happens when rookies get, and major league players get a second crack at the rookie. We just saw it, by the way, with Young in Baltimore yesterday.
Oh, yeah,
as Houston was all over him early and often there. Awful pick. But what is that going to change here? Why are we going to get anything different? You've already seen him now. Now he's going to be in Philly. I think it's all Philly. I'm shocked it's not over $2, Donnie, if we're being realistic here.
Yeah, Taijuan Walker has been really, really good. And if you want to compare bullpens, like outside of Jordan Romano, who's bad, the Phillies got a pretty good bullpen overall, including one of the best closers in baseball. So if this is a close game late, it's going to be a nod to the Philadelphia Phillies. We'll see if Walker can continue those winning ways and find out. The New York Mets struggling to say the least. What is it, 7.5 games now, I believe, back of the Philadelphia Phillies. McClain's going to be back on the mat. He was really good, Joe, in his first start against Joey Wentz. This line, though, is a pick-em for a reason because the Mets aren't playing great baseball. No shakes around that. A 9. The opening number for a total down to 8.5. McClain getting another start in Major League Baseball. Can he save the New York Mets today?
I mean, but give me they can't beat Atlanta. Like, it's the one team this year, even as bad as Atlanta was for so long, Donnie, they still beat the Mets. They had no problem beating the Mets. The Mets can't beat Atlanta. It's absolutely crazy to me. You got Wentz, the lefty, again. They struggle against lefties here. I can only look towards Atlanta, who's really starting to come into their own, crazy enough here, starting to hit the ball, get quality pitching. Yeah, I'll take Atlanta. I'm not buying the Mets here on the road.
Atlanta at home here. Atlanta just playing spoilers down the stretch. We'll see if they can spoil the New York Mets just like the Washington Nationals did the same. Cleveland and Texas, Joe, 9:21, 9:22 on the rotation. That's an 8:05 game tonight. Cicconi's going to be on the mound for the Guardians, going up against Nathan Eovaldi. This number, interesting. Opened up overnight, minus 190, Joe. We're no longer there. Minus 148s, minus 151s, minus 166 in the sports landscape right now, and a low total of 7.5. Ciccone, Eovaldi, Texas, wake up.
Yeah, no, I can't do that. I do think, obviously, Eovaldi has a big edge from a starting pitching perspective in this one. The Guardians are going the wrong way again. That's unfortunate. Texas at home needs to get it done. I would look for Texas to maybe give a little run support early for Eovaldi here. I would look to back them in the first 5. I'd even lay the half a run.
San Francisco and Milwaukee going to tee it up in Milwaukee tonight. Wiz and Hunt, the lefty, going up against Jose Quintana, another lefty here. 9:07, 9:08, 8:10 start tonight. Quintana is a favorite. Minus 165 opening number, Joe. We're seeing now minus 170s into the marketplace and a total of 8.5. Milwaukee looking to take care of business against a team that ain't very good at the plate at times.
I mean, Quintana's won 3 of his last 4 starts. This was a guy that didn't even know if he was still going to be there come the trade deadline because he thought he might be traded out. And what has he done? Well, he's been absolutely lights out for them here. So he's only allowed 2 runs in his last 2 starts combined. I have no idea. He's already beat San Francisco, 11-3 earlier on in the season. There is no reason for me to look at the Giants and think, they're going to go to Milwaukee now, and they are just going to, they're going to light up. But no, they're not. Milwaukee all day in this one.
Milwaukee looking to get to 81 victories, which again, their 80 is the most in Major League Baseball to continue the winning ways. Slippery pitcher on the mound, as I like to call Jose Quintana. We'll see how he does tonight. Their counterparts there in the same division, the NL Central, they're out now on the West Coast. That's the Chicago Cubs. They're going to take on the Los Angeles Angels. 9:29, 9:30 rotation, 9:38 start tonight. That's Brown versus Anderson. Anderson is terrible by every single metric here. So if the Browns, should have said the Browns, if you take a look at Ben Brown on the mound, if he holds those bats down, you should get, Joe, 4 to 5 runs at a minimum from that offense here for the Chicago Cubs. They're a 154 favorite in a total. That's 9.5, so it takes 10 to hit that total.
I mean, he has gone 20 consecutive starts, Anderson, without a win. 20! Like, you got to be kidding me. Like, are you serious?
Get that job
I don't get it. I have no idea. Brown has never faced the Angels, by the way, but they are still 6.5 games out of the final wild card spot here in the American League. So I don't think they're rolling over for anybody, but the Cubs have been fantastic, bouncing back after a loss. Of course, they lost last night. Yeah, gotta like where the Cubs sit in this one against the Angels.
Yeah, Joe, we talked about a couple bigger games earlier. The Los Angeles Dodgers and the San Diego Padres on the West Coast and a 9:40 start. That should be a fun one to watch. Also, Boston and New York. Bello and Fried should be a good one there at 7:05. Impactful in the standings in their own divisions. You love to see that. But one that might be flying a little bit under the radar, like Kansas City still in the mix to make a wild card here, Joe. They're going to take on Detroit in Detroit with Casey Mize on the mound. Detroit's a favorite there, about a -165 price, 8.5 as a total. So meaningful baseball as we start to shift our eyes and focus over to week 0 of the college football season. Don't leave off the diamond, Joe. Still some fun to be had there.
No, a lot. And listen, the Royals, they're starting to play. They're starting to hit. They're starting to play some of their best baseball here. And, could very well be the Royals making a little bit of run here in the final 4 or 5 weeks.
Closing it down in style, coming up, the Fade the Public poll, and bye. Get some winners for the people because Friday is payday right here on the SportsGrid Network. We will be right back.
This is the moment every fan waits for. The countdown's over. The road to kickoff has begun.
Play is here to stay.
I'm not going to name names, Kevin.
From win totals to player props, from division races to MVP debates, we've got eyes on every camp and data feeding 24/7, breaking down every angle across the league. Every pick, every edge, every line that matters. SportsGrid. Your road to kickoff starts now.
Answer is this. 12-team, 3 wide receiver, you take Jamar Chase. In a 10-team league, though, where you have only 2 wide receivers to start, it's an interesting supply and demand situation with a roster like that. That is where the Bijan #1 overall maybe comes into play, because you could take Bijan and then turn around. You're still getting 2 #1 wide receivers in a 10-team league draft.
Fantasy sports today. Only on SportsGrid.
In extras, knocked out the Reds 6-5. This team doesn't lose. And the only thing I want to say, Tom, is I just hope they can continue this. Now, what does that mean? 40 games in a row? Of course we know it's not going to be the case. They are peaking right now. We've seen so many times. Baseball's a long season. Boy, if the Brewers are playing this baseball on September the 28th, watch out. But they are sensational right now.
Pro baseball today. Only on SportsGrid.
Looks like we made it. It's a Friday, Joe. It's a SportsGrid Network. It's the final segment here of the early line on a football Friday, which tomorrow we have week 0 football action. We had a big preview on week 0. We had a big preview on the NFL preseason games for tonight and also on Saturday. It is officially football season. But sometimes, Joe, you still got to go out there and ask the public about some deep burning questions in Major League Baseball. This is our Fade the Public poll. Smoke them if you got them. Well, fade them if you got them here. The question that we asked at SportsGrid, and we do this each and every Monday through Friday, was, will the Mets make the playoffs? Uh-oh. Mets not looking good. Dropping a couple games to the Nationals, farther and farther back now for the Philadelphia Phillies to try to chase down in the NL East. And now teams like the Reds coming into play to make a wild card spot and knock the Mets off. So we wanted to ask the public, Joe, where they were going today. And they said with a resounding no, the Mets aren't making the playoffs at about 65%. I actually voted yes. I'm in the 35% crowd right here. I'm not giving up on the Mets just yet. Are you giving up, Joe, on those New York Metropolitans?
So easy to do, Donnie. I mean, but the Reds are a tough team. If you think the Mets are frustrating, the Reds are even more frustrating, and they have been all season long. I mean, the good news is if you're going to say the Mets make the playoffs, they really just have one team that they've got to stay in front of, and that really is the Reds here. And I don't trust the Reds. I'm kind of with you. I don't trust the Reds bullpen to all of a sudden turn things around here. I mean, Juan Soto is coming out of a series where he was 1 for 12 with 6 strikeouts against the Nats. They need Juan Soto to be the $700 million man that they gave him. I don't see anybody on the Reds that could do that. So I'm with you. I would back the Mets.
Look, you pay Juan Soto as much money as you did. I understand it's the sign of the times in Major League Baseball, but don't you just expect like that 60 home runs, 400, batting average? It's not the case for what you get. $700 million doesn't go as long as it used to, Joe, is what we're trying to say here. But will the Mets make the playoffs? Well, one thing we'll find out. But the public is saying absolutely not. But you know what the public likes? Winners, Joe. They love winners, particularly Major League Baseball winners. Bye right now. I want winners. Joe Ranieri, where are we going on the Major League Baseball card for those winners tonight?
All right, redeem myself here today
team.
And back the team with, the best record in Major League Baseball at 80-48, taking on, the anemic Giants here at home. I am all about the Brewers here, Donnie. I don't run to the window a lot of times looking to lay a run line with home teams, especially home favorites, given the fact that they probably are only going to have 8 at-bats in this one. But much like we had yesterday, Donnie, with the Dodgers going with the alt line, I'm going to lay the 1.5 with the best team in Major League Baseball, even at home. Why? Plus 120. Are you kidding me? I got no problem backing the Brewers here to run away from this anemic Giants offense.
Redemption song. You're going to get that W tonight, Joe. I know you will. I went sunny gray yesterday. Sunny. It was always sunny in Florida yesterday as the bats broke out. By the way, the Cardinals lineup is dreadful. So I looked at that game and go, Sonny, you better pull this one out for me. But the bats actually came alive. Why? Because it's always hot. It's always humid. The wind's always blowing out in Tampa. Even the worst lineup score runs, and they did that last night. So the Cardinals, minus 115 cash for me. I'm going to keep it right in that ballpark. We're going to turn the tables, Joe. I'm going from one dugout to the other dugout today. It's Tampa time tonight. Why? Because, again, Miles Michaelis is on the mound. He's a really bad pitcher, Joe. Since July 1st, he has an ERA minus of 132, a FIP minus of 159, an XFIP minus of 119, an ERA of 5.44, and a high XFIP and Sierra number. I'm just fading the pitcher in this ballpark. I don't even love the lineup here, quite frankly, for Tampa Bay. They'll score tonight because it's Michaelis. They'll get the victory, and I'll lay the minus 134 price. So there we go. Milwaukee and Tampa hand in hand tonight for victories, Joe.
Yes, and keep an eye because I believe we will finally get to see one Shane Bieber back on the mound for the Toronto Blue Jays. Yep, Toronto sending out Biebs here tonight. Let's see how that goes.
Haley Bieber in the stands, Justin Bieber in the stands, all in the family, people, as they get rolling tonight. And I'll tell you what else gets rolling. It's week 0 in college football. SportsGrid's College Football Today. Joe Ranieri will be rolling tomorrow. Not with you, Joe, but another Joe and Joe Lisi and myself, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. live on the SportsGrid Network, the place to be during football season and the place to be Monday through Friday, as always, on the early line. For Donnie Rightside and Joe Ranieri, we're out of here. Enjoy your weekend. We'll see you bright and early on Monday morning.